makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part.
About a week ago, the YouTuber known as Shaun produced a 1-hour video debunking Jimmy Dore's anti-vax attitudes. Now, the video itself doesn't deal with the specifics of Jimmy Dore's anti-vax pseudo-claims, but rather it highlights the way in which Jimmy Dore promotes anti-vax ideas without himself claiming to be anti-vax. You know, this element of plausible deniability that he always provides in order for no one to be able to formally accuse him of promoting ideas against vaccines. Now, in response to that video, Shaun is one of the more popular, I guess you would call them bread tubers and video essayists out there. His video got a huge amount of views. There's one segment in particular in that video which is such a damning critique of Jimmy Dore that there is no way that you can just like ignore it, because it involves a deliberate manipulation of an article into what the article actually says versus what Jimmy Dore claimed it said, and it involved actual rewriting of that. So Jimmy Dore has been forced to make a video, which I think he uploaded it yesterday, where he responds to those claims of him being an anti-vaxxer, and to my surprise, because I actually thought he was going to ignore it, addressed that specific moment in Shaun's video. So let's look at Jimmy Dore's response.
But Singapore's growing caseload has raised alarms nonetheless because of the speed at which cases have climbed. Now, when we originally reported this graphic here is incorrect. This graphic here was put together by my producer, and he joined together two sentences that didn't go together.
So this was like the obvious way that he was going to get out of it, that he did not actually write this. Although, of course, it's still damning, because does his producer do his own research? I thought Jimmy Dore was the guy who did his research. I mean, you could have your producer sort of, hey, this article is, I'm going to use this article, just, clip these couple of bits out and then make a graphic out of it so that I can show the graphic in the video. Yet when he's showing this, why would you read something that clearly says something that is different to the article that you read at the very beginning? So this is a bullshit excuse, because he should have read this article first, which I assume any person giving commentary, whether it's in the news, whether it's on YouTube, whatever. I mean, when I show an article, I read it beforehand. And even if I, at one point, will have a producer who does this for me, if what I read from what the producer gives me is not what I read in the article, I would immediately be like, whoa, wait, what'd you do here, buddy? What'd you do? So this is just a massive, massive cop-out. But yeah, I sort of expected he was going to, if he would ever give an explanation for this, he was going to blame someone else.
And he added a word, despite. So if you're going to add a word, you have to put brackets around it so people know you've added a word and it wasn't in the source text. He didn't do that. And then he changed the tense of these two words to make it fit syntactically or grammatically with the rest of the sentence. Now, you could combine two sentences, but you have to put a ... and then so people know that you're jumping ahead. And so, but that didn't do that. Plus, that was supposed to be a period, and he put a comma. And then he put this, and it actually changed the meaning of this sentence. It didn't mean what. So, by the way, doesn't change. So I have to cover that, right? Because that was fucked up. And I didn't know about that. I had to trust my producer that we went over the story. He put it together. I had no idea he was going to take two sentences, jam them together, and add a word without putting it in a bracket. So I had no idea when I did this segment originally that had happened.
Bullshit. Utter bullshit. Again, if it changed the meaning of that sentence, as he claimed, he should have noticed this the moment that he aired that segment. The moment that he was reading off that paragraph that was clearly changed, he should have noticed this, but he didn't.
That was done by my producer who put it together. I asked him why he did it, and he didn't really have a good excuse. He said, I was in a hurry, I got sloppy, and I'm stupid. Unfortunately, he can't be with us anymore because I can't have someone on like that who's sloppy, stupid, and does something like that. And so, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. So someone's paid a price for this. But it didn't change the thrust.
By the way, I thought his wife was his producer. So, I mean, I'm sure he has the resources to have, you know, a mini army of people helping him out. But yeah, I'm not buying this for 1 second. He's a fucking liar.
Of the reporting, which is stop blaming the unvaccinated for this, stop demonizing your neighbor, and to drive home the point that you can't vaccinate your way out of this pandemic. This doesn't change any of those facts. It does change one thing about this sentence, and that was wrong, and so that's why he's gone. But even after, so here.
Anyway, massive coping there. And let's just go back to the essence of what was Shaun's critique, and which is also the critique that I've been making all this time, because I've made numerous videos of Jimmy Dore's anti-vax attitudes, and I've made it clear how he hides his anti-vax propagandizing with this plausible deniability. And I wrote an article on my Substack. I know I rarely promote my Substack here, which I should, but I'm going to put a link to it. And I wrote this article a couple of months ago. And it's basically how the sort of the left anti-vaxxers always, they use the playbook that the alt-right uses when it wants to discuss things like race, for example. So they don't want to admit that they're racist. So what they do is they simply, hey, I'm just a race realist. I just want to discuss these things, and you lefties are not letting us do that. It's just science and IQ and what. So I'm going to end up starting my own university to discuss this, looking at you, University of Austin. That's the strategy. That's the way that you get this plausible deniability. And that's why it's often very hard to debate against these people, because you can't find like the silver bullet in anything that they say that suggests that they're racist. And you have to go into this like really, like, it's so easy for them to like say, oh, but Jordan Peterson's not a misogynist. It's so easy to just say that. And then you have to make so much effort debunking this, because there isn't a very silver bullet of, oh, here's the one bit of evidence that Jordan Peterson is a sexist. That's why it's so hard. And he uses that as well, which is, I guess, why his channel has not been shut down by YouTube, when it is, in fact, at this point, basically just an anti-vax channel. That's all he talks about these days. So here is so this whole video involves him trying to debunk this idea that he is an anti-vaxxer. And the irony is that he does this video and actually just continues promoting anti-vax ideas while he's doing it. And so I'm going to give you another example of this. And this is towards the beginning of the video, where he's claiming that he's always said that you should go get the vaccine, except there's a really big disclaimer. And note that whenever he brings this up throughout the rest of the video, I'm not going to show the whole thing, but you can watch it. He always does this. So watch.
So people try to make me out to be anti-vaxxer. Again, my bad faith attackers, when I'm constantly telling people to get vaxxed, and which is what he recommended too. Robert Malone, recommended that if you're vulnerable, you're elderly, you have comorbidity, you should get vaccinated.
Okay, did you get what the disclaimer here is? If you are vulnerable, you should get vaccinated, which means that anyone who doesn't feel that they are in a vulnerable category should not get vaccinated. And I trust that Jimmy Dore's mostly young audience falls in this category of not vulnerable.
His theory is that it's going to become anyway. We'll get to that, but so
he's sort of letting the mask slip right here, because his argument really is, if you're really vulnerable, get the vaccine. If not, just get the damn virus. And natural immunity is even better, because he's made no shortage of videos claiming that natural immunity is better than the vaccine. Let's keep watching this.
what I'm taking the vaccine reduces your symptoms and your likelihood of serious infection or serious disease, having to go to the hospital or end up in an ICU. So we've always said that. So if you're afraid of the virus and you want to reduce...
See, if you're afraid of the virus, if you're 30 years old and don't have any comorbidities, maybe you're not afraid of the virus. I'm not like hugely afraid of the virus. Slightly. Delta is a bit scarier than the original version, but I'm not particularly scared. But I still got vaccinated. You know, my fear of the virus, or not fear, I would say respect, is basically that not necessarily that I will die of it, but that I could still have a nasty bout of it, you know, maybe end up in the hospital, even if it, you know, doesn't require a ventilator, no risk of death, but I still might be in the hospital getting oxygen. This is not a pleasant experience, I am sure of it. And I have friends who have been to the hospital, who've had like 2 months of really bad symptoms. They haven't died, but I don't want to go through that either. There is long COVID. How do I know that I might just get a mild case of COVID and then develop, you know, longer term symptoms? I don't want to go through that. It's plain and simple. I might not be scared of COVID in terms of me dying from it, but I still think you should respect it for what it can do to you, regardless of your age, because there are people who have been absolutely knocked out by it and have died, even if they're healthy, even if they're young. So I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to know if maybe there is some certain aspect of people's genetics that makes them more vulnerable than others. How am I going to know that I don't have those vulnerabilities? I don't know. I think I got COVID at the very beginning. I had some weird symptoms. No way to know. Maybe that would lead me to think that, hey, if I catch it again, it'll probably be as mild as the first time. But I don't know. I don't know. What if it wasn't COVID? I don't know.
Your chances of getting seriously ill, you should get vaccinated. So that's what we've always said on this show. I'll show you another video of me saying it. Yes, it's important that the elderly and people with underlying health conditions get vaccinated. I agree with that.
See? Again. And he does this throughout the entire video. When he claims he's not anti-vax, he will always say, but I've recommended people get the vaccine, except he only refers to older people and vulnerable people. He has never said everyone should get the vaccine.
There's another one. Here's another one. Here's another video of me saying with Nick Cruz from the Fredhampton Leftists. And they have the lowest transmission rate in the country right now in Florida. Now, they do have a higher rate of people who, once they get infected, get serious illness. They have a higher rate of that. Well, that's because those people aren't vaccinated. So again, if you are afraid for yourself, and if you're in a vulnerable population, you should get vaccinated. And then you won't get that. You won't go to the hospital. Less likely you will.
See what I mean? So he's defending his record. He's defending himself against the accusations of being anti-vax, while simultaneously promoting more anti-vax ideas. Why? Because he's basically saying, hey, unless you're old, unless you're vulnerable, and unless you are scared of the virus, you don't need it. You don't need it. That's what he's saying. That's the lie. Now, here is some other rather damning evidence of this is his wife and producer this responding to some questions, and this is what she had to say about his position on vaccines.
Joey G, hey Jimmy, if you hadn't taken the vaccine, would you get it knowing what you know now? No, I can answer that for you. No, he wouldn't have gotten it. He wouldn't have gotten it knowing what he knows now. You know, but the whole thing was that we both have underlying health conditions. And so we wanted to make sure that we were safe and sound and doing what was most appropriate for our health at the time.
So they had underlying health conditions. So they were in the same category that he himself claims are the ones that should get vaccinated. But now they're saying in retrospective, they shouldn't have gotten vaccinated. And he mentions in this video, I don't remember at what part, but at one point he says, I was injured by the vaccine. Injured. That's the word that he used. I was injured by the vaccine. So again, let's rehash his stance. If you're vulnerable, if you're old, if you're afraid of the virus, you should get the vaccine. If not, you're fine without it. And in his case, even though he's in that category where he's saying that you should get it, he then says, oh, I wouldn't have gotten it with what I know now. So please, any Jimmy Dore fan who is watching this video, please comment and say how this motherfucker is not an anti-vaxxer. Please, I want you to give your answer. This is unbelievable. This guy is so fucking irresponsible. And this is all just for his grift. This is all for him getting comfortable with his new right-wing audience. Right-wing anti-vax audience. This is disgusting. And anyway, for those who haven't seen the Shaun video, which I strongly recommend you do, at least the first part. This bit is from the beginning, so if you don't want to see the whole hour, but it's just a knockout blow from the very beginning. But I just want to show you exactly this point which he's making regarding that bit that he edited, which you can see on screen. Those are the changes that he made. His producer made. But also what he explains is that's actually how his anti-vax works, which again is something that I've said on numerous occasions in my previous videos on Jimmy Dore.
Now, I'd like to pause here and ask a question to any fans of Jimmy Dore's content that might be watching this video. Now, I know that the response to me saying Jimmy Dore produces anti-vaccine content will be to say, no he doesn't. Dore doesn't directly tell anyone not to get the vaccine. He got the vaccine, and he says that you can get the vaccine if you like. You know, he's not anti-vaccine, he's just asking questions. He's just got some concerns. He's just reporting the vaccine news. Now, my question is, if this was true, if Jimmy Dore really was just innocently asking questions and provoking debate, why does he need to lie? Why is he selectively quoting the article to avoid mentioning the positive effects of vaccination? Why is he editing the text of the article to make lockdown measures seem ineffective? If he was just reporting the news, he would just read out the article in full, right? If he's just asking questions, why not ask, why does Singapore have one of the lowest COVID death rates in the world? And the answer is because Jimmy Dore is trying to present a biased view of vaccines. He is producing content specifically to attempt to draw in an anti-vaccine audience. He's just doing it with plausible deniability because he doesn't want to be banned by YouTube. But let's be fair here. Maybe you're thinking, well, okay, the way Jimmy Dore read out that one article was a bit dodgy.
Anyway, that's the relevant bit. Don't need to... Please watch that video. It's really good. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this. And I await the comments in defense of this colossally irresponsible imbecile who is still fooling so many people and doing it for his own profit, basically. So yeah. On that note, if you like this video, please like, please share. Most importantly, please subscribe. And I will see you next time.